Hello Internet, welcome back to another edition of Eric's Corner with the word of the not so wise. I've done a good bit of Doomsday prepper videos recently, talking a lot about the M35A2. Getting a lot of really good response to the videos. I've mentioned before I'm going to try and do quite a few more of them because, I mean, that's what a good YouTuber would do, is give the information that his listeners seem to want. Talking about a few things. I'm going to talk about some different Doomsday scenarios. Of course, you have about the worst one you can get would be like some kind of nuclear disaster. Underground fallout shelter is good for storing things, initial fallout, but caves are graves. They're not going to be a good place that you're going to want to just hunker down and stay in. Unless you have a multi-million dollar deal, or of course that missile silo that I guess they made into a Doomsday bunker. I don't know who forked out the I don't know, $500 million to do that, but it's pretty badass. I don't remember if it was Mr. Beast or who went and toured it, but there's an EMP, again, why I like the Deuce and a Half and older vehicles. Impervious to an EMP. I don't know how far an EMP, what kind of radius it has. I do know that they exist where they could knock out maybe a city block. I don't know. It takes an immense amount of power just to pump one out. The biggest one you're going to have is a nuke. Now, if you get nuked, you know, you got way bigger problems than electronics getting knocked out. But as what they would do, was the book 1 minute after I started reading it, and I don't know, but I think that was an EMP. But they detonated a nuke high up in the stratosphere to where there was no nuclear fallout. It just, I mean, it would fall to the ground eventually, but it would disperse to the point where it wasn't dangerous. Because if you're trying to invade someplace and you nuke it, well, you can't have your troops going, you can't take it. It won't grow any crops for hundreds of years, and there's no point unless you're just trying to get rid of people. But they detonate it high up, and then, you know, the EMP comes down, and I don't know how big of a blast radius it has. It's probably pretty big. I mean, it's going to take out at least LA and San Diego, and, you know, probably all the way over to Las Vegas and so forth. But I do like the Deuce because it is completely impervious to a nuke. It's not going to take out your batteries. It won't take out your starter. It's delicate electronics. I don't know where they draw that line, but anything with any kind of a computer in it, you know, heaters even, it's going to fry chips and stuff. They operate off of just super micro amounts of voltage versus, you know, the starter on my Deuce is a 24 volt system. If it is going to take it out, it's going to have to melt the internal components. And again, I got much bigger problems. I mean, something that hot's going to fry your brain probably anyways. And your bug out loadouts for most of these are going to stay pretty much the same. It's, you know, just get away from panicking people and have stores someplace out nearby. You know, you have a tsunami. That's my worry. That's where I personally would leave my property. Really not much of a disaster where I'm going to leave my property unless, of course, my house and shop collapse, which again is why I like the Deuce and a Half. I mean, if the house starts shaking bad enough, I can evacuate and go out into the semi-armored metal container that is the van on the back of the Deuce and a Half, and we'd be safe. You know, I'll have a heater in there here soon. And even then, I can just grab a diesel heater and throw it in there and keep it warm, especially when it's 0 degrees. But, you know, it is insulated, and we could at least be, you know, the house collapses, I can at least keep everybody warm until I can figure out, you know, if I can go to my parents' house or a neighbor's house, whatever the case, somebody's house that's still standing. And then, of course, we're looking at a very likelihood of possible tidal waves. You know, if a tsunami or a earthquake hits here, it'd probably be going in the other direction, but you never know. Tidal waves are not necessarily these big 200-foot tall waves. A tidal wave can be this big, but if it's, you know, 50 miles deep, you know, the water just comes and just surges in. It just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. It's not like, you know, day after tomorrow where this is massive wave that just takes things out. But I mean, it could be. I guess there are records of, you know, big rogue waves like that and stuff. Again, landslides, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes. Tornadoes and hurricanes, you're probably going to sit tight. Flood, probably not going to happen here. I mean, if anything floods, I'm going to have a pipe break and I should be fine there personally. And And, you know, right here at my house, I got, you know, my supplies, my fuel, and all that stuff. You know, if I was to bug out and get away from panicking people, I pretty much would not plan on having much left. I mean, my fuel stores, they're going to be looted because, again, I'm right on the main highway where somebody can see what I got, which is why I hate being on the highway. You know, if I was back a couple miles, it'd be a different story. You know, I can take and dig a trench in my driveway behind myself to where people at least can't drive in or whatever, where I can drive over it, but your average car can't. So I do have some options there, but a buddy of mine sent me a whole list of things to talk about. I need to print it out and throw some thoughts down on it. He had some really good ideas, so that'll be another video. But again, there's gonna be a lot of overlap in your bug out bag. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all for most things. You know, your medical supplies, your emergency rations, and a way to have drinking water. If nothing else, you literally can grab a drinking water filter, and it's better than nothing. I might do a video. I'm going to try to do a video this weekend of how to build a makeshift shelter. It's about 1 degree out right now, and I'm going to try and do it with no gloves on, so you can see how quickly you lose dexterity in your fingers in cold conditions. Again, bugging out when it's cold, you're running into a whole nother stretch of problems. You got to have cold weather gear or some kind of fuel supply to keep things warm. And remember to ration. Don't be keeping your, the back of my deuce and a half. I have a problem. I got to sit back there. Don't keep it 90 degrees in there. Keep it barely above comfortable and save your fuel. Now, I'm going to have a real big problem before I run out of fuel. By then, I'm going to have a new shelter or a new location to take my family. It's going to be a friend's house, of course. Literally any neighbor here will take me in, of course, but that's the environment I'm in. I'm in a small community. We all know each other, and if you were in a bigger city scenario, you're not going to have that. Just banging on your neighbor's door. They don't know you. They don't know if you're friend or foe. They're not going to be as willing to help you, or they're going to go, hey, I have limited supplies. I can only look out for myself, which, you can't be mad at people for doing that. You see in movies about how they roll up to a compound and, well, what do? They get arrested. They say, well, who are you? Are you going to cause problems in our compound where we're trying to protect ourselves from people? We're not just going to let people in just, oh, well, I'd say at least take my children if the wife and kids, some parent has to be with them. Can't just hand my kids over, of course, unless it was some, completely do or die situation. But I'd at least, watch out for their safety first. So anyway, that's about your doomsday scenarios or your bug out scenarios. That's kind of all I got for you for now. Thank you for watching, and share my video and let me know what you think. I'd love to get some feedback. So have a good rest of your weekend.